What is our fifth main topic today?
This comes to us from Jordan Kleinhenn. As we've all seen already, Ezra Miller is once again in the news for bad behavior. A crime on May 1st that they were just charged for on August 7th by Vermont Police. I'm tired, and I'm sure Zaslav is too. Do they still just hope it blows over before the release? Salvage it into something else?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Jordan. Every effing time that we have to discuss this situation, I have to say, and hopefully this is the last time we got to talk about this individual, but it's come up again. And again, the reason it's relevant, like, you know me, I don't give a damn about the TMZ nonsense. Like, I'll let other people talk about the bullshit gossip nonsense, but this is directly impacting a major upcoming comic book film that has hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, all this kind of stuff. And this individual can't just effing behave themselves. This comes to us from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter, wrote the following. According to a police report posted online, Vermont State Police were notified May 1st of a potential burglary when residents on Country Road in Stamford, Vermont, reported that several bottles of alcohol were taken from within the residence while the homeowners were not present. Following an investigation that included taking statements and reviewing surveillance videos, police found probable cause to charge Miller. The act is, oh, there he is on video doing it. Yep, that's pretty good cause that we can do it. To find probable cause to charge Miller. The actor was ultimately located at 12:23 p.m. on August 7th and issued a citation to appear in Vermont Superior Court for an arraignment hearing on September 26th. It's unclear if Miller knows the residents of the home that was burglarized. And that, of course, comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. All right, look, let me say first off, compared to a number of other things that Miller has allegedly done, this is rather tame.
Right.
Okay? Compared to a lot of the other more disturbing stuff that Miller has allegedly done, this is a rather more tame one. Still, if you are the homeowner that found out that somebody went into your home, there's not a lot of other things that just give you a feeling of being violated than finding that somebody went into your home. And forget that they took bottles of alcohol. I mean, if somebody went into your home and took shit out, I mean, that's pretty whatever. This is another thing, man. If I'm sitting around the offices at Warner Brothers these days, it's like every time the phone rings or every time if you're an executive, there's a knock on the door, you instantly think before answering the phone or telling them to come in, please don't be something else about Ezra Miller. Please, oh God, no, why? Nothing more about Ezra Miller, please. And then in comes walking the poor intern, says, so it's about Ezra Miller. Then you fire that poor intern because you're taking it out on them. And then you feel bad for them. But anyway, it's just again and again and again and again. Now, I've had a lot of people writing me over the last 24 hours asking me, is this the final straw? Is this the final straw that they fire Ezra Miller? Well, look, I can 100% guarantee you, 100% guarantee you, they've already fired Ezra Miller. I don't think there's anybody that disagrees that Ezra Miller will never be the Flash again. Warner Brothers will not work with Ezra Miller again. If they do another Fantastic Beasts movie, you won't see Ezra in it. If The Flash continues after this movie, you will not see Ezra. I guarantee you they've already fired Ezra Miller. But the question is, yeah, but they're still in this movie. Well, yeah, but what are they going to do? I mean, they acquired this. They inherited this Ezra Miller problem. They didn't cause it. They're not the one who cast Ezra Miller. They inherited this problem. And what are you going to do? You going to be the one to go up to Andy Muschietti and say, hey, Andy, we know you've poured your blood, sweat, and tears into this, and you promised us a good movie. And from all accounts that we've heard, they've made a very good movie. From every source that we have, this Flash movie they've made is actually supposed to be quite good, and they're excited about it over Warner Brothers. What are you going to do? Go to Andy Muschietti and say, hey, man, you worked for years on this. You delivered us a good product that we can be proud of, but we're going to scrap your movie because of the actions of one of the people that worked on it. An important person that worked on it, but we found somebody who worked on it that's been just a nightmare, so we're going to scrap it. You can't do that if you're Warner Brothers. You just can't at this point. Now, I said for a long time that the previous regime at Warner Brothers, when this first started, When that video came out years ago of Miller like choking that girl and all that kind of stuff, when that came out, we said, you got to address this now, because if you don't address it, you're enabling them, and this is just going to get worse. And we said this, Rob, we said this for months, that if you don't come out and address this as Warner Brothers, you're only enabling Ezra's behavior. You're just going to make the situation worse and whatever. And they never did anything. And now years have passed, and we're literally at the point where it's too late to say anything now. What's the new ownership of Warner Brothers supposed to do? What's the point of coming out and addressing it now? There's no point. There's just no point. We all know the story with Ezra. We all know Ezra should never work in this business again. And we know that if they could wave a magic wand and replace Ezra Miller with the frickin' kid from Riverdale, they would, but they can't. They can't. So now at this point, anything short of Ezra Miller straight up murdering somebody, which honestly, at this point, I'm not going to be shocked if we find out tomorrow that happens. Because they just enabled this individual for years now. But anything short of that, I just think Warner Brothers will and should just carry on. Look, we got to get this movie out. There's going to be no press junket. There's going to be no premiere. They're not even going to try to do celebrity interviews with it. No, they're just going to put out trailers and they're going to put the movie out. They're going to rake in a couple $100 million for it. And then they're going to move on from Ezra, and Ezra will never be this thing again. And all I do, whenever I hear more about this, I just feel for people like Andy Muschietti and people like, Michael Keaton, or this poor girl who was getting her start as playing Supergirl or whatever. Like, and all the hundreds of people and thousands of people who put all their time, energy into this and made a good movie, and they just keep getting punched in the proverbial balls for stuff that is beyond their control. And it's too bad. And listen, we have the Batgirl situation. Again, I feel bad for everybody involved in Batgirl, but from everybody that I've talked to that has had connection to the project, they said the movie was not good. So that changes the situation. But I feel bad for someone like Andy Muschietti in this. We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Raycon. Now, guys, you've heard me talk about the fact that part of my morning routine is getting on my treadmill. And when I do, I always have my Raycon earbuds there to listen to my podcasts and YouTube videos. I go to them every morning. Raycon's everyday earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever. With optimized gel tips for the perfect in-ear fit, these earbuds are so comfortable and they will not budge. Trust me. Raycon gives you 8 hours of playtime and 32-hour battery life. And the best part for me is that Raycons are priced just right. You get quality audio at half the price of other premium audio brands. That's half the price. And with premium features like noise isolation, awareness mode, and I personally love the earbud tap functions, it's perfect for when I'm on the treadmill. So guys, go to buyraycon.com/Campea today and get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon.com/Campea to get 15% off. buyraycon.com/Campea. Anyway, Rob, this is the 17th time that we've unwillingly had to talk about Ezra Miller. Now getting, this is a felony charge. This is a felony charge. Yeah. This isn't a public complaint. This isn't a citizen complaint. This is a felony charge. I don't know. What do you make of this now?
Well, John, I agree with everything you said, but there's something about all this now that's getting a little, in my mind, sort of strange. So this crime, he was accused of burglary, felony burglary, yet this happened back in May, the beginning of May, so 3 months ago. He stole bottles of booze. Now, I got to ask a question. There have been times, and of course, I'm jonesing for some Jameson, and I might not have any, but it's not like I pull over my car and be like, you know what, I'm just going to go into that house over there just because, and I'm going to go steal some liquor from their liquor cabinet or whatever. This just doesn't seem, it seems like we're getting half the story. Why this house? Why not just drive down to the corner store and buy the booze you want? He has money. He just made the flash. I mean, it's weird. And why did it take them 3 months to finally come out and say, yep, we're busting him for burglary? Why didn't it happen when he did it? Like, they didn't have the surveillance footage. I think now there's just got to be more to this, I think.
You will find in law, this is pretty standard. Like when an initial thing like that happens, unless it's a violent crime,
Right.
when something like that happens, they will do an investigation. Then remember, other law agencies have been having trouble locating.
Right.
Ezra
Yeah,
Miller
but he
lately,
wasn't
too.
located until August.
Yeah.
And then they found him served. I just think this is such a weird. This whole thing is weird to me. I want somebody to do like an investigative report and lay this timeline out, explain everything that he's done and all this crazy stuff, because it just seems to me like it's just weird. I don't get it. I'm like, if he was a criminal mastermind, like they're now saying, he had a cult in Iceland. He had this house and was running this house like a cult. I'm like, huh. But if somebody said to me that Ezra Miller has been exposed as an alien who's been infiltrating human society, and he's just seeing what he could get away with just to have like the alien in the hidden, it would not surprise me, because all this stuff is so weird. And Warner Brothers had to have known that this accusation was coming down the pike. This isn't something that.
Not necessarily. I mean, they don't have legal privilege to.
No,
like
but I'm sure that they've got somebody investigating this.
Well, of that part,
they've
probably
got to have somebody who's been following this up, going, how much more is there? Like, are we going to find out that you really have a volcano base, like you only live twice? That's why you're in Hawaii all the time, because you really have I mean, I don't know, man. It's just a weird thing. And obviously, it's getting to the point where I feel bad, but how much does Warner Brothers, how much does David Zaslav have to put up with?
But that raises a question, though. What can they do about it at this point? Right? I mean, like, you can't say, well, we fire you. Well, okay, that's fine, but that doesn't take effect till later. Like, really, what can you do? At what point, like, do we say there's actually nothing Warner Brothers at this point can do? I mean,
No.
they're not Ezra's keepers. They're not their babysitters. They're not their parent. They're not, anything like that. I mean, what can you even do at this point? I mean, you can say, we're going to punish everybody else by canceling this movie. What does that do to Ezra? That doesn't do anything to them. That does nothing to Ezra Miller.
I wish he did better crimes. At least something where you could be like, it's like, dude, I broke into a house and stole some booze. I stole booze when I was like 14. Like, isn't that all? I mean, isn't it? And I didn't get caught. And isn't there something better he could do? Like, I wish if he started a cult in Iceland, at least that would be interesting. But now it's like junior high level shenanigans. And why, dude? You're a movie star.
Well, I mean, we could ask the same question about some of the other stuff. Like, you're Ezra Miller. Why are they needing to stay at some stranger's house? Remember the couple?
Get an Airbnb. Get a room at the Four Seasons.
There's a lot of strange stuff. Anyway, Aaron, you hear about all this. What's your takeaway here?
Well, first of all, I just want to speak to the power of Rob's manifestation, because the moment that he said, I just want someone to lay out a timeline for me, I was happening to scroll through the timeline on vulture.com. They actually have a date and they've updated it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it has been updated, and I'm sure that it will continue to be updated. So if you want to get the entire play-by-play of Ezra Miller's shenanigans and antics and felonies and bullshit that has been going on for years now, just go over to vulture.com and you can read the entire thing. I like our friend who wrote in, I'm tired, man. I'm tired. I kind of want Warner Brothers just to release the damn movie so we can stop talking about Ezra Miller. I'm over it. Like, at this point, no one would be able to command this much energy from the press if they, like, because the second that this movie is released, everybody's going to just be like, oh, Ezra Miller was arrested again. Who cares? Like, nobody's going to. The only reason why people care right now is because there are hundreds of millions of dollars on the table right now. And so the minute that this movie is released, then I hope that this is all going to go away. You're absolutely right. The previous regime at Warner Brothers made a fatal mistake in not nipping this in the bud at the time.
Yeah.
And now that Ezra's been fired, you're right. And that was the thing, is prior to the firing, which the firing didn't happen until mid-June, this, break-in apparently happened in May, so it wouldn't have done any good anyway, but God knows what other things have popped up between May and now that we're going to find out in the coming weeks or months. If at some point they said, okay, we're going to give you a handler, or we're going to call a 5150 on you, which I'm surprised that he didn't get a 5150 on him when he was in Hawaii after everything that was going on. If you don't know what a 5150 is, look it up.
Is that a Van Halen record?
It is Van Halen. I'm not just going to say that.
It is when you are a danger to yourself and others, and you are involuntarily locked up for a minimum of 48 hours. Don't ask me why I know all of this about 5150s. I have not been 5150, but Ezra Miller certainly needs to have been at some point. And yeah, I think that we're all just tired, and I don't think that the movie should be canned, because everyone who has seen parts of it, who has seen what they have on the table, has said the movie's great. The movie's fantastic. And if the movie weren't great, it would be Batgirled. But it's not going to be Batgirl because it's fantastic. So I'm excited to see the movie. And I hope that I have the ability to separate art and reality enough to enjoy it. Honestly, it's hard for me to do that with certain performers. It's hard for me to go. I mean, I really love Swimming with Sharks. It's going to be hard for me to go back and watch that movie with Kevin Spacey in it. There are certain people that you just can't separate. I believe that we will be able to, because so much of this is CGI, and it's really about the Flash. It's not a movie about Ezra. I think if this were a narrative drama, it would be a little bit different. But in the same way that, like, I saw Prey recently, and it's a great movie. And I was talking to Tom, and I go, it's amazing that, they had no big names. And he goes, well, Predator is kind of the big name. And I go, yeah, that's a good point. So in this case, it's a movie about the Flash. I don't necessarily think of it as an Ezra Miller movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like
It's only when he slows down that he becomes Ezra Miller.
Right.
I still honestly look. I wasn't joking when I said I really do think there's a very, very strong chance they rename this movie to Batman Flashpoint or just Flashpoint. I really, really do. To anything they can do to take the emphasis off of Ezra Miller in this. Anyway, guys, we've gone way over time, so we need to move on from this. But question is for you. Are you surprised that there's yet another thing coming to light about Ezra Miller? I mean, granted, I think this one is a fairly more tame one compared to others, but still talking about breaking into somebody's house, stealing things from I don't know. Whatever you guys make of this whole thing, jump on down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there.